Hello everybody, my name is Bettina Buchholz. This is a draft storyboard for an e-learning trailer to a course on culture and communication. When you've seen the video, you will know a little bit more about culture differences, fundamental attribution error, and how to deal with culture differences constructively. In terms of culture, human beings tend to be conservative. We prefer things the way we grew up with. For example, we love the taste of certain foods that we had in our childhood, and many have experienced the frustration when somebody cooks it the wrong way. We have opinions about the right way to dress and behave, and we have clear opinions about when someone has made a mistake. For instance, showing up in a business environment in way too relaxed clothes is seldom something that impresses anyone. So what happens when we meet people from a culture in which behavior norms differ from one's own? At best, we feel puzzled. At worst, really annoyed. We may even judge the other one as having low standards or being ignorant. But why do we judge others? And how can we change our approach to experiencing cultural differences? Well, everyone is culturally coded by attitudes, beliefs, and core values. Edward T. Hall created a culture iceberg model to illustrate how this works. Above water, you will find all the cultural behavior that is easy to see. How people eat, how they dress, how they greet each other. You may find some customs strange, but at least you can see them and have an opinion. Just below water, attitudes and beliefs are hiding. These you will have to search for in order to understand and recognize. And what's more, often people don't even realize what their attitudes and beliefs are. They just have them. Deep down in the murky water, we find our basic values and assumptions. These are our compasses for living life and are really difficult to define clearly, both for the stranger who is visiting a new culture and for ourselves who take them for granted. Together, all of these represent our culture-coded reality. When we remain unconscious about our own attitudes, beliefs, and basic values, there's a big risk we see the world through ethnocentric glasses. Often we don't even question these, but assume our way of seeing things is the right way and that others are mistaken. This is called ethnocentricity. So let's take a look at what happens when we judge others for their actions. Often people seek to make sense of other people's behavior. It's part of basic human behavior to want to assess whether everything's okay or whether there is reason to be alert. When someone behaves in a way that is wrong in your opinion, you will often seek to assess the causes for that behavior in order to understand the other person's motives. First, you will look at the situation you're in. Perhaps there was something in the situation that the other one misunderstood and which led him to behave in that way. If you become satisfied that the situation caused the wrong behavior, you won't judge the person. However, if you can't find any external reason that the individual should have made this mistake, you will blame it on the person himself. Depending on the situation, you may judge him as lazy, unattentive, or simply provocative. This is called the fundamental attribution error. The fact of the matter is, you don't know anything about his motives for behaving in a certain way. Furthermore, it is highly likely that the other person has good reason for behaving the way he does, even though you can't seem to figure them out. So who commits this fundamental attribution error? Well, it seems to be a basic human tendency, regardless of whether you have little education and little experience with other cultures, or whether you are well-educated, experienced, and consider yourself an excellent representative of your own culture, you are still likely to commit the fundamental attribution error. However, research has shown that people who come from individualist culture areas are much more likely to commit fundamental attribution error than people who come from collectivistic culture areas. So, what should you do about it? First, be conscious about the problem. When you're consciously working with the way you perceive what's around you, it's much more likely you will notice when you're judging someone by your own standards. And that means that you can rewind and try a different approach. Be curious. Always assume there's something interesting to learn about the other person's way of seeing things. Ask questions. Start conversations with the other person about the things you notice that are puzzling you. It's a great way to make friends and a great way to learn more. Finally, study the subject. Read about other cultures. Test whether the theory you have read checks out in reality. Use your studies to become even more curious.